crazy. All right guys, today is going to be a little bit more of a fun episode now. A while ago I put up this vote on Instagram to either go bagging the thing, so down on the bump stops, or lift it. Now I was hoping everyone was going to go bagged. How crazy that would be to be a low forward drive at the show, but for some reason everyone always wants to go for like a lifted forward drive. I was like, ah, damn it. So today, 2 days actually tomorrow I'm taking the car down to the forward drive show, so leave it to the last minute, but we're going to lift this thing. And not only going to do that, I'm going to put some big tires on there. I've got some 40-inch tires, so before hooking anything, I'm going to head down to Black Bear and fit up these 40s, and I got some sick rims from Fuel Off-Road as well. Alrighty, so what do we got here? These rims here come from the US. They're absolutely insane. They're basically designed for the F trucks. They're the Fuel Hostage Deep Dish Edition, so they're a negative 76mm offset. They're a 20 by 14, so super wide rim, absolutely crazy. And we're going to be wrapping them in the Black Bear mud terrains. Now they're a 40, 15.5, 20-inch, so they're probably one of the biggest tires they make. Insane, completely not street legal of course, but what we're going to be whacking on this car is like, I'm a kid in a candy store. This thing's going to be insane. It's all for the looks, a little bit of and gigs right now, but I will be using these on a project later in the year. But for now, we're just whacking them on the patrol for a bit of fun. Yeah, seriously, these things are badass. Like the dish on them are insane. Negative 76 mil offset. The width, like I said, was like 14 inches or something crazy. So to make them fit, we're clearly gonna have to lift it. So I think what I'm gonna do first is just put it on the hoist and do a bit of a measurement from the guards and see where, I think it's at 3-inch now, so to go 6, I need at least another 3 inches of travel in the shocks, just make sure that works, because the last thing you want is to put new springs in and the shocks aren't long enough. So hopefully that'll work, and if that all looks good, then I'll undo the shocks and then basically lift it all the way up so the springs can fall out, try and get these new springs in, drop it down, put the shocks back on. Sounds easy, but it's probably gonna take all day, knowing me. God damn it. So it looks like it'll just, the wheels are still on the ground, so it looks like it'll just work. Not much breathing room, but the lift is there, I think. That's about where it's gonna sit actually. One's out. Right, so somewhere over here, yeah, here they are. Bought some old springs just off Gumtree, because obviously I was only going to use them for this, so hopefully they fit. Oh, that's a back one. In. All right, so I've just put the springs in and lowered it down, and my calculations were either hella incorrect, because the springs they're not long enough. The shocks aren't long enough. Look at that, it's hanging. Which means I might have to run no shocks. It might look a bit weird, but at least the lift is there. Yeah, that's crazy. It's all the way down, almost all off the hoist. They don't go in. Obviously, to hunt down the biggest wheels and tires I could find, they're an 8 stud, off like an F250 in America. Which means I have to go with some adapters to go from a 6 stud to an 8 stud now. Because those 2 stud patterns will just never line up to re-drill. It's actually a 2-piece spacer. So there is a little bunch of Allen keys in the middle that hold them together. Not super strong. I wouldn't trust this thing on the road, but because this is just for the show, like it's gonna go on and off a trailer, it doesn't really matter, but this is how we're adapting it. And also it gives it a 2-inch spacer, which will widen it even again, making it more fucking badass looking, I tell you what. So I get these spacers on. I did have to get them drilled out. These came from the US of A, but I did have to get them machined a bit to fit the center hub on these. So that's been done. Get them nice and torqued up, put the second plate on, and then we can get these fat wheels on. Looks like we're gonna need to do some chopping. Aha! Perfect. Ridiculous. Perfect. This doesn't look real. It's a bit overkill. Hello guys, and welcome to this week's tech tip. Now before we go any further, it's getting into winter. It's getting a little bit chilly, so we've just launched a brand new hoodie. The only one I want to hear. Let's be honest, the Supercharger hoodie has just gone in stock. Now this is just like those last shirts we did. Once they're gone, that is it. This is a limited edition hoodie for this winter. So once they're out of stock, that is it. They're not coming back. So definitely guys, if you want to grab the new version hoodie, jump over to our website. They'll be there with the original Built Not Bought hoodies and these limited edition ones as well. Anyway, let's continue with this tech tip. I'm gonna rip this off because it's kind of warm in here today. Now today we're gonna be talking about oils. Now this is quite a simple one. We're going to be talking about the different oil weights, viscosity. Have you ever gone to do an oil change or something in your car and wondered what do these bloody numbers mean on the front? So that's what we're going to go through exactly today. Now here we've got just some top up ones. So these are actually can be mixed with these different weights of oil, but if you go to just a standard full complete container of oil, not the top up ones, you will have just a simple number on the front. So I'm gonna go through exactly what they mean. So you've got a 10W40 for example here. Now we're gonna start with the second number because that's probably the most important. Now that is the viscosity of the oil at 100 degrees Celsius. So that is the most common operating temperature of these oils. And essentially what the viscosity is, they go through this little tester beater, basically pour the oil in and measure the time it takes to go through the chamber and come out the other end, and that is what its SAE number is, and that is what you see on the second part of this code here. So the higher the number, the thicker it is. The lower the number, the thinner it is at that temperature. So it moves through the engine in that sort of different ways. So with that first number, what that is the weight of oil, but that is cold. And when I say cold, I mean kind of room temperature, where it is sitting now. So the biggest thing with engines, the most wear that happens on a motor is when you start them cold. So what that number means is basically it's the weight of the oil at that temperature. So it acts like a 10 SAE number when it's at cool temperature, but when it goes to operating temperature, it goes up to 40. Now, why is that important? When you've got these modern engines, a lot of the oil needs to pump up to the top where the cams are. If it's overhead cam, if it's turbocharged, you need to get oil to the turbo quickly, otherwise you can cause damage in your motor. Have you ever heard of don't rev a cold engine? This is why. So they try and thin that oil as much as you can. So on startup, it doesn't increase the wear, gets the oil where it needs to be. And then as the temperature increases to that 100 degrees Celsius operating temperature, it will move its viscosity to that perfect temperature. So if you don't know exactly what to put in your engine, most of the time there will be the number on the cap for the motor. Now if it's a factory engine, you can essentially just use the oil that's recommended there if you've got kind of within probably the 100,000 K mark. Now if you start getting higher Ks, you can start looking at going slightly thicker oil to make it last longer. Or if you've done big modifications on your motor for performance, you may want to ask the mechanic or dyno tuner what oil they recommend. But in summary, that's essentially what all these numbers mean. The same thing happens with not engine oils, but diff oils as well. You'll notice those numbers are a lot higher, and that is because that oil can be thicker because there's no small galleries. In a motor, there's tiny little galleries that the oil needs to pass through. In a big gearbox or diff, there's really none of that going on, so they can run a higher, thicker weighted oil, which gives more protection on the gears. That is pretty much a summary of what goes on with these oils. Now you can walk into the shop and understand what those numbers mean, but like I say, basically everything on the motor, any manual will tell you what oil to run, and that should be pretty sweet for your engine. Anyway, let's get back to the episode. Alright, we got the wheels on now. If you didn't know, tomorrow I'm meant to be having this car down at the Brisbane Showgrounds for the 4Drive show. And well, the gearbox exploded yesterday, typical built not board fashion. So we got some of the boys around, we're going to tear into it and change the box. Pretty standard, working the midnight oil before an event or a trip or a show, whatever. So James is over there, made a miraculous appearance. Woo! We're bringing the FT to the show actually. Now he's splitting the new box. And then Chris and Mitch are getting elbow deep. These guys are diesel mechanics, so they're at home on this petrol patrol. So hopefully it won't take too long with 4 of us, maybe a 5th later on, so we'll hook into it, but we can't really use the hoist because it's just a bit sketchy having the patrol that high. So I normally do the box swaps on the ground, but with this lift it's kind of annoying because even the trolley jacks aren't high enough to actually get up there. So we'll see how we go. We're not filming too much of this, but we'll get you updated once the box is out and get this new one in there. All right, who's going to be the engine and who's going to be the gear shifter? So before we chuck the box in, we were going to take the lid off, but that's a pain in the butt, so we're just going to run through the gears. Mitch will be the motor at the front turning the input shaft.
Matcher, rev match.
I can't, it's still spinning. I'm in neutral and it's spinning. Oh no, I was in the wrong gear. And second. And third.
Oh yeah, it's good,
Yeah. Now fifth.
We are hooking.
Now stop it because we're going reverse. There we go. We got all gears, boys. Slap her in. Something is connected. Oh no, that's not good. Can we get a jack under the front? My clutch is like a guitar string. Jack up the front, quick! Alright, so out of curiosity, we're going to lift the lid on the gearbox. I reckon second gear smashed to bits, but we'll see what bits of metal got in there because it pretty much couldn't drive forward or backwards. It kept locking up, so there's bits of metal all through it. Hang on, ready? Oh, it's not obvious. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There's the piece of metal. Yeah, so that one tooth is just bouncing around in there. It's crazy, one cracked tooth just chews everything. Get in there.
Get in there, boy.
Took the easy job.
Hey, someone's got to do it, right?
You won't find him on the tools much. But when he is, he does this.
So getting into the interesting part because we've kind of got to like lift it in. So that'll be tricky, but there is 5 of us now. And then we'll put the transfer case on afterwards.
The next day.
All right, good morning guys. You wouldn't bloody believe it, last night we didn't go to bed till about 2 a.m. I slept in the tray last night. Basically, like the last thing you saw was putting that box in. And then one of the boys found this little ring on the ground. And it was actually like the spin bearing bush that holds the clutch onto the pressure plate. It's what feeds it forward, and it was basically a bit of a spacer and a bearing, so it would have had no clutch, so we literally had to pull the box back out again, put it in. It took another couple of hours, and then putting it in the second time, one of the plugs got caught in the bell housing, and as we were reefing up the nuts, it crushed that. Turns out that was one of the O2 sensors, so that's gone. So we had to back the box off a little bit again, and then get that plug out. It's still stuck in the bell housing, so the clutch, it's gonna be bouncing around. So the boys went home at about 12:30. So this morning, just finishing off a few little things, just getting the rear drive shaft in so we can get this into the show. The truck's coming in like a couple of hours, so it's been a hectic night. So we ended up making it to the Brisbane 4 Drive show, guys. It was an awesome event. So if you came down to say good day, thank you so much. It was great to meet all you guys. So the car was a hit. It did what it was meant to, drew a lot of attention. You guys, there wasn't a single bad comment actually. at the show about it, but online everyone seems to be kicking off about it. Maybe it was the lift or maybe it was what was happening on the back end. You probably noticed a new tray on there. I've kind of kept that a little bit hush-hush on this episode because very soon there'll be coming a full episode on that new tray build by Pecor. We do dive right into building that thing. I get on the tools, we get on the benders, we do some powder coating, we do some alley welding, folding, assembly, all sorts of stuff on that tray. So it's super exciting to get the cameras behind the doors of Pecor there. That'll be coming soon in an episode, but we're wrapping up this one, guys. Don't forget the brand new, the only one I want to hear hoodie. What a classic. Seriously, the supercharger sound is awesome. I love this hoodie. I'm going to be rocking it all winter this season. So if you do want one, make sure to grab them now because they are limited edition, and once they're sold out, that's it. We're not bringing them back. So the link will be down below for that. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here, guys, start working on that next episode, and we'll see you then. Guys, if you like this video, make sure to click up here to subscribe to the channel. Click over here for our latest merchandise on our website. And down below or to the side, I'm not sure where it is our last episode. If you haven't watched it, click on that to check it out. See you guys.